Bam, we're live.
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to start the show with something that I found really interesting. Matt Walsh. Hey, did you see I got my Instagram account back?
Yeah. Is it actually showing anything?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm up. I'm running.
Blue checked up and everything, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. There is a God. I know everyone wants to know, how did you do it, Sevi? How did you do it?
Teach us your ways.
How did you do it? How did you get your account back? You were kicked off and you got your account back? Hey, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm seriously thinking of doing? I'm seriously thinking about, hey, good morning, Bruce. Good morning, Jody. Jeez Louise. Kenneth Dunlap. Sima. Fezole. Ay. Sima. Good morning. Kevin Smith. Jan Finkenberg. Jews in the house. Alan Kestenbaum. Another Jew in the house. Craig White. Jay Nera, my boy. Craig White. Layla Steele. What's up? Olivia Houston. Good morning. C Beaver, good morning. I was thinking about handing off my account. So now I've been messing with my Sevan Rinsta. I was thinking about taking my Sevan Matosian account with the blue check mark because I don't want to lose that because that's how I troll people to get them to come on the podcast. So I was thinking about I'm going to stop posting on that except have someone who's just a social media whore do it. You know what I mean? Oh, Caleb, did you see another? Oh, yeah. And then hey, Jay, what's up, dude?
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. Good. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Caleb, Jay, Caleb.
What's up, man?
Nice to meet you, Jay.
Hey, Jay, last night my account came back.
Just randomly?
Yeah. Well, I was doing what you told me to do. I was just doing the, sending in requests. The crazy part is I would go to the help center, right? And it would say, was your account deleted for the wrong reasons? I would say yes. Then I would fill out the form. And then whenever I would hit okay, every single time from the first time, it would say, please try again later. This feature is busted. And then I would try again 2 seconds later and it would say, hey, stop spamming us. And I'm like, dude, how did you know if the first time it wasn't working and then I try again, then that means the first one got there because now you're saying it's like if I went to slap you on the head and missed, and then I went to try to slap you on the head again, and you're like, hey, stop hitting me on the head. Like, motherfucker, I didn't hit you the first time. I tried to.
Well, it's great that you got it back. That's awesome.
I know. I was thinking I'm going to hand off that account to just some social media, sell out. Like someone who
it says Jay Nera 3.0. Change that right away. That's my hacked account.
Hacked account.
That's the hacked account. That's
disgusting. What should I change it to?
Follow that if you want someone trying to sell you crypto now.
Okay, so I should change it to Jay
Neezy
NEEZY
2100.
2100. So that's been up since the last time you were on.
Jay Neezy 2100. That's
no, yeah, but no, I'm saying the other one, that other name must have been in there since the last time I had you on.
Okay, because the last time you had me on this account, which has been my main account, was probably gone at that point.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of trouble with this account. They're constantly attacking this account, but it's my main one.
Hey, I want to come in super. Oh, so what do you think about that? I let someone run my social media account with the blue check mark because someone goes, hey, one of my friends goes, hey, now that you're doing your new, this is before I got my account back last night. Someone's like, hey, are you going to do anything different on your new account? And I go, no, why? And they go, so you don't get kicked off again. I'm like, I don't know how to do anything different. Mm-hmm. I can't I can't, anytime I see something that says this person took the injection and died, I'm going to post it. You know what I mean? I can't, because that's what I do. So I'm thinking maybe I should take my hands off the blue check mark and only live in the DMs there and let someone else do all my posting there, because that's my account that I need to text people like you. And then you see the blue check mark pop up in your inbox and you're like, okay, I'll fuck with this dude.
Yeah.
That strategy, or you think I'm kind of selling out? I mean, I don't care if I am selling out a little bit. I don't want to lose that account.
Well, I mean,
Although I didn't even care when I lost it. I was more, when I lost it, I was like, okay, no big deal. But I didn't even say no big deal. I had no thoughts about it. But when I got it back last night, fucking red panty night, I was pumped.
yeah.
I told my wife time to celebrate.
It's not selling out if you're maintaining the purpose of having the account, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if you don't do anything or say anything that is on your mind completely, then you can't even use the account the way you authentically wanted to. So it makes no sense. But
right.
one thing that I've noticed, and I notice it when I'm speaking with people, is because you can't say certain things. Like if I start saying the word vaccine a lot, then all of a sudden my account starts getting shadow banned. And I've noticed now whenever I want to talk about that, like even I was giving a speech yesterday and I start talking about the jab with people. Like I do it like this is a habit now. This is a reflex, doing quotations with my fingers and saying the jab or the you know what. It's like my brain has self-censored itself to not even say the word vaccine. You know what I mean? And it's very weird how that habit forms. It works. Like they're effective on shutting us up like that. So
I'm going to watch Caleb. Oh, yep. Look, we already got a monetization ding for that.
What's that? Now.
So I just went to YouTube to see, because you said that word 4 times, the V word, vaccine, injection, monoclonal antibodies, mRNA, gene therapy. Our monetization thing has already been dinged. Like on my YouTube channel, they already say, hey, we're limiting your access. But you know what I can do? Even before the show's over, they got a review button here, and I just hit review. This happens every show because I talk about it every show, no matter what. Like we'll be talking about football, and I'll throw in a vaccine comment. And then I just hit review, and then basically what it does is when you say those words like that, it sets off some trigger, and then basically they say, hey, we're not going to let a lot of people advertise on your video. We've reduced the number of people who can advertise in your video. And then they got a little button here that says you can request a review, and I request the review, and it always clears.
Okay.
Did you see that, Caleb? Did you see how can you see that? Yeah. I already hit the review, ad suitability. And I'll read it to you. This video is being reviewed to determine whether it's suitable for most advertisers.
Okay. Oh, so are we on right now?
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Oh, okay.
I always wonder how fast it catches that. Like if I said cunt, it doesn't catch it as fast. But if you say that other word, vaccine, it catches it so quick.
What about F-bombs?
Yeah, it catches those, but not as quick as the word vaccine. If you say fuck, it catches it. But you can always ask for a review.
Okay.
Yeah. And I say, I say all sorts of racial slurs on here in context, like just talking about them and about how, like, if and I go into, anyway, it doesn't catch those. It doesn't care if you do those.
All right. You said you wanted to come in hot.
Yeah. Ready?
All right.
I just saw this. Caleb, can you go to Matt Walsh's account and go to the second video? It's the first video he doesn't have pinned. Here's the thing I'm struggling with. I struggle when people conflate stuff or when they leave stuff ambiguous. So PragerU recently posted something this morning where they say, hey, if you say something and the woke crowd comes after you, don't apologize. And the example that they use is I'll get to that. But they don't, no, not that one. Sorry. Yes, that has been arrested. And the reason why they say that, they never tell you why you shouldn't apologize. And I'm going to circle back to that and explain why you shouldn't apologize. But this is another one of those things. I like this guy, Matt Walsh, but in this video, what he's doing is he's trying to draw a connection between what I think is gay people and pedophiles. And I don't think there's any connection there at all. And I think I don't think it's a nice thing to do. Now, I don't like this LGBTQ+ thing that's forming. I don't like it because it's lumping up lesbians and gay people with transgender people, and these are totally different issues. One is sexual preference, one's mental disorder. So I don't know why they have to be clumped together. One's about who you think you are, and the other one's about whose genitalia you want to touch. I mean, they're not even in the same ballpark. But I want to know what you think about this. Will you play this, Caleb?
A Michigan public school employee who staunchly advocated for LGBT curricula to his district school board has been arrested as part of a police sting operation targeting local pedophiles.
I'm a resident county taxpayer, vaccinated and functioning, graduate of this high school, class of 1999, proud member of the LGBTQIA community, and an employee of Mount Pleasant Public Schools.
41-year-old Eric Roman, an employee of Mount Pleasant, Michigan's public school system, was arrested as part of an Isabella County Sheriff's Office sting operation that also saw 2 more alleged child predators put behind bars. All 3 were arrested for using a computer to commit a crime and accosting a minor for immoral purposes. Police allege the 3 communicated over various social media apps with decoys posing as children. The 3 are accused of going to a location to have sex with a child where they were arrested. The report goes on to explain. A Michigan public...
By the way, I am very glad at the end he didn't just leave it as immoral. He told us that they went to a location to have sex with a child. By sex, I mean, I assume they mean some sort of like penetration or oral sex or something like that. But I think it's important that people be very clear about what they're saying. But do you see the tie there that they're trying to tie or you don't think so? You think that's fine? Like, I don't like this. I don't want to alienate gay people. And I don't want this movement that gay people are pedophiles. I hate that.
I know a few people who, I'm not like, I'll admit, I'm not friends with any explicitly like flamboyant gay people. I mean, like maybe the closest one would be my cousin, who's like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. And like, we didn't know he was gay until he was like 27 years old. Like, he's just a normal, quiet guy. He's not flamboyant at all, but his husband is a little bit more out there. But I don't know any super flamboyant homosexuals, but the ones that I do know, they look at that community and they roll their eyes. Like,
yeah, me too.
They don't know, like, putting the rainbow flag to them means one thing, but they don't want to express it at all. They don't want to be a part of it because it is associated with so much illogical and irrational belief now. It's tied into this like whole postmodernist movement, right? And it is just completely attacking reason. I look at Matt Walsh, like, What Is a Woman? Cool documentary. Like, I've heard people say, oh, it's great, it's awesome. And I watched a lot of it. And to be honest, I'm insulted that exists.
You mean that the movie even has to exist?
Yeah, I'm insulted by it. Like, this is my species. Like, this is humanity right now. Like, am I going to make a documentary that says 2 + 2 is 4?
Yeah.
And have to like explain it? Like, oh, well, if 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Well, then 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 must equal. Oh, wow, I got you. See, these guys are idiots. Oh, I'm so smart. Logic. Like, that is what that video looks like to me. It doesn't, like, when he's
it feels like more like a stand-up routine. Like it should be comedy.
It's very comical. Like, especially when he talks to the,
kind of in a sad way that there's people who refuse to acknowledge definition of words.
Yeah, he talked about the people wanting to remove limbs, right?
Yeah.
And that one doctor who does the sex changes is like, oh, well, those people are quacks. It's like, oh, okay. Like, it took me 3 attempts to watch that because I felt like
I've only seen the clips. Yeah, I've only seen the clips. Well, that is so. Going to back what you're saying, which I think what you're referencing is, I haven't seen this, but I heard about it, that it's illegal to have limbs removed. You can't go into a doctor and be like, hey, this arm isn't mine, and ask him to take it off. That's illegal. But you can say that penis isn't mine and have that removed. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he wasn't even talking about the legality of it. He was just asking the doctor what they thought of those people.
Right.
And then the doctor couldn't draw couldn't bring the two together to see how they are comparable. It's like, oh, well, those people are quacks. It's like, okay, like, both are out of touch with reality and want something from their body removed, but they just couldn't make it. They just couldn't make the bridge.
I heard this other example before also, that you're an anorexic, you don't think you're skinny enough, you go to the doctor and you ask him to give you a gastric bypass and liposuction, and he looks at you like, dude, you have a disorder and you're asking us to participate in this disorder. Let's talk through this and maybe get you some, rearrange your thoughts and your perceptions and get you some help. And that's how most disorders are treated, right? They're not like, hey, let's exacerbate it. You don't go to the doctor and be like, hey, I need heroin, and he shoots you up. But that is what's happening with people and their sex. They're going in there with a disorder, and instead of the establishment talking to you about it and viewing it as a mental disorder or something that maybe needs to be talked through or worked on, they're docents that take you deeper into your insanity.
So in Canada,
and that's where you are, right? You're in Canada.
I'm in Chinada. So
Yep.
There's some very interesting things here. A few years ago, there's a few bills that have been passed, which just really mess a lot of things up. So there's one bill, I believe it's C-89, and what it does is it was meant to protect religious like freedoms, choice for religion kind of thing, and it had to do with children and parents. And what it is if the child does not feel supported by the parent, okay, so let's say a child says, I want to convert to Islam or whatever, and the parent doesn't support it, then there's means for the state to step in and say, you don't deserve to be a parent. You're a bad parent. This is online with like child abuse kind of, so they could take the child away. But the wording in this document is so wide open that it actually ends up being, if a child says they identify as, like if it's a boy and he says he identifies as a girl or whatever, and the parent doesn't want to participate in that. Like imagine if one of your sons was like, I want you to call me Linda. And you're like, okay, don't be ridiculous. You know what I mean? Avi, right? Like, don't be ridiculous, dude. Like, come on, you're a dude, you know? Then he could go to his teacher, and then his teacher might file something, and then you're going to get a visit from child services, and something's going to happen there. So
wow.
Yeah. There have been a few cases in this country where children have wanted sex changes at young ages, like 13, 14, 15, and they got it. So there's one, I can't remember his name right now. He tours around the country. He had like a 12 or 13-year-old child who had a sex change.
Is he pissed?
So listen to the story.
Yeah,
so he had a child who had a sex change, and he obviously didn't want it to happen, but his ex-wife supported it. And so the child went ahead and got it. A couple years later, child, depression, suicide, dead.
Yeah.
So now the father dead. Yeah. So now the father tours around trying to, build awareness about this.
Wait a sec. Let me see if I understand this. It's a couple. They're not married. Their kid wants a sex change. The dad's like, no. The mom's yes. The kid gets the sex change at a young age, and now the kid's dead.
Yep.
Suicide. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, like even the sex change stat is extremely high. I'd be lying if I said I knew what it was, but I want to say 70 or 80%.
It's so obvious there'll be no happiness there. It's so obvious that there will be no happiness there. It's so obvious.
Which goes to
it's like thinking you're going to buy a car and get happy, but dumber.
Yeah, which goes again to treating them, right? Treating them as a dysphoria, as a mental disorder, trying to like get around like self-esteem issues or whatever it is.
Right.
There's also more going on that they're trying to push right now in Canada, which is if you are a doctor, you cannot try to I can't think of the term right now. Sorry.
Dissuade?
Yeah, you can't. What is the word? This is bothering me. I'm usually very good. I usually have a very good vocabulary.
We have over an hour left. Take your time.
But if you have a child, you can't go to a doctor, and the doctor can't try to treat them. Like conversion therapy. They can't try to treat them against it. Like they can't say, okay, let's sit down. Why do you think you're a woman? And try to convince you that you are actually a male because you have a penis and you know what I mean? You were born with a penis. Like, hello.
Wow.
You can't do that. These doctors can lose their licenses, get fined, or even go to jail for 6 months. So what happens is if a child goes in and they're feeling this way, they can go see a doctor, have a few 30-minute sessions, and then get a sex change prescribed. And this is before the ages where you could vote, you could drink, you can drive, right? Before those ages, a child can do this with a few sessions. So it's weird because that's such a weird, unbalanced assessment that is happening for the child. They're actually being pushed towards one versus the other. So this is going to be a scary thing to see, because I'm frightened as a parent. Like, I couldn't imagine all the propaganda and everything that's going to be
Is your
happening
kid in school?
public schools. He's starting school in September, junior kindergarten.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
this has been something that I have been very curious about. I've kind of been on the fence between homeschooling and sending him to a public school. So I picked a very good school, and I got in, so I'm very happy. But I'm definitely going to be keeping my ear to the ground on this one for the next.
I would pick either a crazy fucking wackadoodle religious school, or I just keep your kid at home.
Yeah.
I would just keep your kid at home.
Well, he's
and I'm not religious at all, but those people, those are you need your kid being taught you need your kid in a place where there's a moral code, which is something that they just pick up from us as parents and how we treat other people, or where the school's like shoving one down your throat. There has to be a hedge against the insanity right now. There has to be a I don't want my kids exploring things. I don't want my kids getting tattoos when they're 16. I don't want my kids getting tattoos ever. But if my kid gets a tattoo at 47, let's say my kid turns into a Navy SEAL and he wants to get a trident to commemorate it. Good on you. I think this changing your sex thing is like a fucking tattoo. How old are you, Jay?
39.
Maybe you remember. Do you remember when like no one had tattoos except for like you had to be in a gang or some shit?
Yeah, I remember the like
and now everyone has
tattoos. I remember a point where I'd see someone with tribal tattoos and I go talk to him, and he'd be talking about his trip to Malaysia, New Zealand.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like he got these tattoos like authentically, like out there. And then now it's like a accessorized kind of, worldliness.
Yeah, it's just man. So going back to this video, do you have an issue with that? Or do you think that it's just a fucking all out with Matt Walsh's video, or do you think, hey, we're beyond that shit? It's just an all out fight now.
I think it's always been a philosophical war. That video, the thing that stood out to me in that video was he had to highlight that he was vaccinated, which I found weird. Highlight that. That's some kind of identity marker.
Yeah.
And then he seemed proud that he was a functioning adult.
Wow.
Like if you have to mention that you're like functioning, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that people are functioning.
But what about the tie with him being gay or being proponent? Why not just report it as, hey, this dude is a pedophile? Why make the connection that he's part of the LGBTQ community? That's the part I need clarity on, because I don't want what we're going to do there is we're going to alienate people, I think, who are gay. We're going to alienate people who want to be intimate with the same genitalia that they have if we start lumping them up with pedophiles.
Yeah, but everything has to do with labels today. Everything needs to be labeled so that people can be properly polarized.
Right.
This isn't by
you think Matt Walsh is part of,
accident.
so you think Matt Walsh is part of that unconsciously?
I think it's a paradigm that we've all fallen into. Yeah, we've been indoctrinated to think in terms of pro and anti. That's how we think. Like,
is that just simple duality? Is that just like going back to just fucking Buddhism 101? Is it just duality?
Well, I think what we're doing is
I'm either happy or I'm sad, like I'm forced to choose.
Yeah, but what we're doing is we're constantly, you're being forced to choose, and you're being forced to box people in a way that doesn't recognize similarities. Right? There's always, like, we're all humans, so there's one thing in common, but we are always eliminating that.
We're all born from women.
Yeah. And women being, having vaginas, but
but here's a fucked up one. I really, really want to make kids safe. That guy, not so much. I don't want anything from kids. That guy wants something from kids.
Mm-hmm.
I want something for kids. So that's a distinction that's fucking, and maybe that, that's the one thing I have zero tolerance for. There's so many things I have tolerance for. I have zero tolerance for pedophiles, like zero.
I don't think there should be any.
Yeah.
The victim is the most innocent, right? You can't get more innocent than a child.
I mean, that's your purpose, to protect them as a older human.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted. Did you lose your train of thought after I interrupted you?
Yeah, I've been losing my train of thought this whole time due to interruptions.
Sorry, Jay. Sorry. I'll behave. Can you pull up the PragerU, Caleb? The I want to show you. I want to show you this one too. This one, my question is why do people do people know why it's important not to apologize to the woke mob? Oh,
You didn't send me your notes.
Oh, I didn't send you my notes?
I don't think so.
Let me see here. Will you go to PragerU, their Instagram account? Let's see. Oh, you're right. I didn't send them. Started to send them. There we go. Bam. You got it. You go to the PragerU account. You'll see this guy says, he shows that you've seen what Tom Hanks is getting a lot of notoriety. I mean, sorry, his son. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Let me see. Keep scrolling down. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Chet Hanks asked to apologize. Check this out.
Any marginalized communities you want to apologize to? I don't know. Maybe the Patois community?
Nah. I don't feel like I've truly done anything offensive, so.
You don't see it as cultural appropriation. You see it as like a celebration of culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like social justice warriors can like go kick rocks.
Yeah.
No comment. Got it.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. Social justice warriors can kick rocks.
Yeah.
Who knew Tom Hanks' son was so based? This is exactly how you should respond when the woke mob comes after you, demanding an apology when you've done nothing wrong. Hold your ground, don't apologize, and I love it.
Are there any marginalized...
Why do you think it's important not to apologize? Or do you agree with that it's important that you shouldn't apologize?
Well, here's a simple question. Do you agree with living with integrity? Like
honesty, yes.
And would a fake apology mean anything to you?
It gets me out of the discomfort of hurting someone else's feelings. It
hurts my feelings to live inauthentically. It hurts my feelings to be forced to do something that I don't want to do. It hurts my feelings to be coerced and not, if you want me to do something, you have to persuade me. You have to appeal to my reason, right? You have to make me do it voluntarily. If you want me to do something and you have to compel me to do it because you're threatening, which is coercion, you're compelling me to do something out of, a threat of taking things away from me, of hurting my life, of attacking people I love, something like that. How could you expect to get an authentic, like, imagine you wanted to get it. You're in a fight with your wife and she pulled a gun to your head and said, "Tell me you love me." I love you. Like, that's not love. You know what I mean? And that's what that is. So to me, it's no friggin' way. Like, it doesn't benefit anybody. It's just participating in the fantasy. Everything is an illusion that people are participating in. It doesn't matter. Like, some of the illusion people recognize. So one of my friends in the military, I was asking him a question. There's a lot of meetings that happen around the country. And one of the questions that I posed was, I was like, look at Afghanistan. Why are they so hard to conquer? What do they do? What's great about them? And his response was, they don't live in an illusion. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we live in this illusion that someone is always going to save us. There's always going to be running water. There's always going to be electricity. There's always going to be food on the shelves. If someone tries to break into your home, there are always going to be people who show up to help you. They might be a little bit later, but the cops will show up. This is an illusion. And there's more illusions that we participate. Like that's an illusion that we subconsciously participate in. And then there's illusions that we do not mean to we know we participate in. Some people forcibly and some people just kind of like automatically. And that's like playing these gender identity games, playing with these social justice warriors. Like I just mentioned how I censor myself in my words from using social media a lot, that now like the vocabulary that I use, like the words I select are changed, right? That's
Right.
me participating in the illusion so that I can
Right.
keep my social media accounts,
Right.
right? And that is not authentic, and that is a form of control, and it works in many ways. So to apologize is to participate in the illusion, and you're perpetuating the problem by doing that. And that is the biggest thing. Like I've been, so my position now, I actually started like a small website brand type thing, fymm.life. And FYMM is fuck you, make me. Fuck you, make me. And people
like
think that
it.
that's some kind of aggressive term. It's like, how am I aggressive for defending my boundaries?
Right.
Only a sociopathic narcissist would tell a person who is saying, don't treat me poorly. Don't try to take advantage of me. Don't force and coerce me. You know, only a person who is narcissistic and like a tyrant would try to stop people from defending their boundaries. How is it aggressive to stop someone from being an aggressor towards you? So you have things like live and let live, don't tread on me, just leave me alone, let me live my life, no
Right.
victim, no crime. These things all make sense, the golden rule, right? And for some reason that's gone. We don't have that in society anymore. And that's why I'm trying to start this movement within Canada, because masculinity is gone. Assertiveness is considered terrorism to some people. Sorry if that word flags something on this video, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, fuck you. Like, you want me to close my businesses? You want me to isolate and I don't even have a symptom because of some faulty test? Fuck you. I want to live my life. You want to tell my kid to stay home because he coughed? He got a negative test, but he coughed. So you want to keep him home for 14 days because I didn't give him the jab, right? So he's going to miss daycare for 2 weeks. Fuck you. Make me. You know what I mean? It's like there's certain things, certain rights that we can defend. And that's kind of something that I want to get moving on. I want people to understand that you need to individuate. You need to deviate from this herd. Stop being a polite Canadian. Stop tolerating intolerance. Like, we are tolerating people attacking us. Would you tolerate me if I was punching you in the face?
No.
You wouldn't. You'd be like busting out. I saw you had Tony Blauer on here. So you'd be like, boom. You'd be spearing me, poking me in the eyes. You'd be like, no, man, he hit me. I didn't attack Jay. I was defending myself. And everyone would be like, that makes sense. But that concept, when it comes to our rights around the world, seems to kind of dipped into this gray area where so many people think that it's crazy to defend your rights. I mean, they made it sound like freedom lovers are terrorists in Canada from the trucker convoy.
Right. They're doing that here in the United States too.
It's crazy. It makes no sense how people have accepted this perversion of concepts. And that's something that I really want to get out there, is the perversion of the law, the perversion of the government, how none of it makes sense anymore. And because we've all participated in the illusion, we've perpetuated the erosion of these concepts, the erosion of our rights and freedoms, the erosions of what we consider logical and reasonable. When Orwell said 2 + 2 = 5, and they accepted it, it's like we are, like, the second we say, a person with a penis is a woman, we are accepting 2 + 2 = 5.
Correct.
And we are compelling, in Canada anyway, we are compelling people to have to speak this way. That's what how Jordan Peterson came to light, is he was saying, if a man wants to be called a she or he, if I respect the person, sure, I'll do it, but you can't force me to do it.
Right.
You shouldn't like that. That's diving in on our free speech. It's crushing it. So that's all he was trying to get at. And that it got accepted. So then they just pushed the envelope a little bit more and a little bit, the whole give an inch, take a mile kind of thing. And that's Canada right now. Like it makes no sense what is going on in this country, and that people, so much of the population cannot tell that we are under a dictatorship at the moment. It's frightening.
He speaks just like a dictator.
He doesn't answer questions. Neither does Chrystia Freeland, the Minister of Finance. They don't answer any questions. He's
a scary dude.
What color is your tie, Justin? He could be wearing a black tie. It's like, what color is your tie, Justin? And he's like, this tie was made by fantastic Canadians, and it was shipped by Canadians and sewn by Canadians. It's a beautiful tie. And I just like to say, when we look at this tie, it brings Canada together.
Wasn't he just reelected too?
Yeah. So
what's going on up there? Why is it like that? Why are I had a friend who's a very wealthy Canadian, and he said that if there's any display of his money, people start hating him right away. Like, he has to be very careful that the tall poppy syndrome is alive and strong there. Are you familiar with the tall poppy syndrome?
No, I've never heard that before.
It's basically it's really big in socialist countries. Like when I first met Miko Salo, I think I learned it from him. It's basically like these are cultures where no one should want to achieve anything for themselves. It's tall poppy syndrome occurs when a person's success causes them to be attacked, resented, or criticized, and then they're cut down and devalued. And so you're supposed to be, it's all for one and one for all, missing the point that, we need people like Bezos who want to fucking circle Mars. We need people to push out there. But Canada has that big time, right?
I've never experienced it.
Okay.
So I can't really say, but you don't see a lot of flashy people out here. Like, you do see, like, I did drive by a nice Ferrari today, but you don't see a lot of people being extremely flashy like I would in Miami, for example.
What do you think the tolerance for him is there? I think I know what it is in the United States. Do you have any thoughts on why it's like that in Canada?
Sorry, the tolerance for Trudeau?
Yeah, Trudeau and those behaviors, the big daddy government, like basically telling you like, hey, this is what you should eat. This is how many times a day you should brush your teeth. These are the injections you should take. These are the words you should use.
This country is, like I said, this is a philosophical war earlier. I said, like, philosophy is where it is. And Canada is extremely bought into all socialist ideologies. Like, I've never heard the concept of the tall poppy, but that is something that I could see definitely being possible. Not necessarily attacked, but looked down upon, because we're going to always look at people who are affluent as successful, but then there's that point where is there too much? Is it too much? Does it make you look like a bad person? Does it make you look like you take advantage of other people? Whatever, because having lots of money means you took advantage of other people. It couldn't possibly mean that you created a product or service that people voluntarily purchased and they sought value in, and it was a win-win situation because you were happy to sell it and they were happy to buy it. That couldn't possibly be the idea. Although I will say, in Ottawa, a lot of the people who do have a lot of money are people who get government contracts.
Right.
Like, the majority of business in Ottawa is government contracts, and that has a lot to do with, like, handshakes behind doors, no matter what people say. I've experienced it with my app. The second I got vocal, we got shut out of some things. So yeah, but it is a philosophical war, and Canada is extremely, extremely far to the left. High authoritarian, high collectivist ideologies. I went door to door, and keep in mind, I'm in the belly of the beast. So during the federal campaign, I ran for the People's Party of Canada for a member of parliament, and I went door to door. There are so many people who want to force people to do things to their bodies. There are so many people who are okay with forcing my 4-year-old child to have to get medical procedures done.
Crazy.
There are people who are okay with having to close your business and not having a choice. There are people who are okay with being forced to stay home, even if you have no symptoms. And they are full aware that the test is completely faulty and makes no sense, and the high cycle threshold and all those things. But people are okay with that. My own family, like I usually don't like to draw too much personal stuff into conversations, but my own family, I haven't been invited to Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, all those things, okay? Because people who didn't have a certain medical procedure, shouldn't mix. They shouldn't mix. They're infected. They're dirty people.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to any of those. This summer, like a few weeks ago, my sister was in town and there was a barbecue at a family member's house. And my grandmother was telling my sister and I to go. And we're both like, I don't know if I'm invited. I don't know if this is just my grandmother trying to get everyone together or if we actually are invited. And my sister sent a text message to this family member, say, hey, like, are we actually invited? And there's just no response. And then my grandmother eventually just called and said, no, just get over here. Come now. So my sister goes, but I'm like, I can't go. I can't participate in this. I can't play in this illusion. Like, not only is it just extremely fake to me, it's just, I'm helping it. I'm perpetuating it because what's going to happen?
Which part? Because then they would assume you were vaccinated.
No, we go there, right? Because now like the government mandates and all that crap are lifted. The government isn't saying anything about the jabbed and unjabbed mixing. So, the government and the TV say it's okay to mix. So let's go mix. So I go there and I'm going to pretend like I haven't been ostracized from the family for the last year.
Right.
We're all going to be happy. We're going to be pleasant. Oh, how's work? How's this? What are you doing here? What are you doing with this and that? How's Bo? How's your son? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Fake.
Yeah.
But I know that at any second, if the TV comes on and there's an emergency warning that says people have to stop mixing and everyone must put a mask on their face, even while they're in the home with strangers, because Justin Trudeau says so, or our, health experts say so, then I'm going to sit there and be like,
why do you think they believe those people? What do you think it is about people that makes them want to believe those people? Why can't they think for themselves? Why can't they be like, wait a second, I don't know anyone who's died of COVID, or wait a second, why are only obese people dying? Or why is it that 96% of the people who've died have 4 or more comorbidities and 4% we don't have data on?
I think at this point, it's like the ego and cognitive dissonance of admitting that they were wrong. Like at the beginning, there's like this huge group of nescient people and this huge group of ignorant people. And like nescient, like ignorance and nescience are both words that mean to not know. But nescience comes out of innocence. It's like, I just don't know because I haven't been exposed to that information. I haven't looked at it. But now that you tell me, I'll go look it up and I'll learn and I'll start thinking for myself. Ignorance comes out of arrogance, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know. So I'm not going to look this up. I'm right. You're wrong. I've made up my mind. It doesn't matter what stats, what science you show me. This is just how it is. So that's how it was at the beginning. And I have a lot of empathy and compassion for all the people who are nescient and innocently trusted all of these experts and the politicians on TV. But there comes that point, like it doesn't matter, like there comes that point where so much information has been out there that if you follow things like, Occam's razor, like the simplest explanation, it's like these people are lying to us. Yeah. There comes that point where people have to realize that they are being lied to. And with so much information, the Pfizer data dumps and the data on all the people getting hurt and how it doesn't stop transmission at all. So they have to acknowledge that they were lied to because everyone
But Jay, they're not even being lied to. The CDC website said 94% of the people who died had 4 or more comorbidities and 6% there was no data on. So anyone with a brain should be able to do a risk assessment analysis on there. Anybody. I do realize, and so when the CDC does a risk analysis of that, they're like, hey, we all have to get vaccinated. But
okay,
like,
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt for a second.
Please,
for a second.
Yeah.
Have you ever been listening to a friend talk about a topic that might be a little bit complicated, or there might be too much information that you
Yeah.
lose a step and you're not following along.
Yes.
And then by the time they get to the conclusion, which is the most important part, you
Yes.
just kind of nod your head and agree.
Yes. I know.
That.
Yep.
That, because the majority of people don't look on the CDC or whatever. And the people that they're listening to are the doctors, the
Right.
experts, and they're experts that the media props up, because the people who are saying otherwise, the people who would, create a debate, those people are being shut up, censored, canceled. They're not even shown there. They're not even in the environment of information. Right. So these people are just following this math equation, not understanding the steps. And then they see, oh, but so get the jab. Okay, cool. I'll go get the jab. Right. Or big proportion of them just, I wanted to keep my job. I got mouths.
Yeah. A lot of people in my DM saying that. A lot of people. It's amazing how many people are DMing me now saying, hey, something's wrong with me. I'm like, hey, what? Can you tell me why you got it? And they said my job. It's almost everyone.
It's
or they wanted to travel. See,
it's actually really sad. I know of many people in their late 20s in just this city alone who had strokes and heart attacks. Like there's a 27-year-old drummer. He's one of my friends. He's a tattoo artist, and he gave tattoos to this person's roommate. And he's a drummer. And he just started putting out all these messages. He's like, I can no longer play the drums, this, that, and the other, because he got a pacemaker put in.
Oh, shit.
27 years old, pacemaker. And like, apparently when you're playing the drums, because it's so fast, the electrical signals or something, he can't play the drums anymore. And that was like his life. I was just like, wow, like that.
And that's from some sort of myocarditis or some shit that he got from getting the injection. Damn.
Yeah. Just absolutely terrible. So there's that, like, I do have compassion and empathy for the nescient people, but then there's the ignorant people, and those people who are ignorant, especially all of the doctors. So I talked to a lot of doctors, and a lot of them were very arrogant. And now there's no going back, because not only were they wrong, it's like, hey, you might be responsible for really hurting some people, possibly even killing some people. You might have led some lamb to the slaughter. That's why I don't know if you look at my posts, I use a concept called the Judas goat quite often. Have you ever heard me talk about that?
Yeah, please. But share it here, please.
So the Judas goat. So in slaughterhouses, when they deliver all of these lamb, all of these sheep to the slaughterhouse, it's not like they slaughter them right outside the truck. It's a whole facility, and they have to take all of these sheep and bring them to the area where they're going to get slaughtered. Now, these sheep are very scared. They don't even want to get out of the truck. It's a new territory, a new environment. Natural instincts kick in, like stay where there's shelter, where there's a roof, don't run out. You don't know what's out there. So they can't, if they try to like pile them all into like wheelbarrows or something, or drag them one at a time, there's going to be a lot of resistance. It's going to cost a lot of time and energy. So to save that, they're like, hey, we can train a big male goat, to walk up there, show himself, and then walk through the facility and guide them to where they're going to get slaughtered. So this big goat walks up. He's confident and he's relaxed. He's calm, which shows that there's nothing to worry about. Hey guys, it's safe here. There's nothing to worry about. Come on, check this new place out. And they follow him. They go through the facility around. They're getting the nice tour. And then they get to this one room, back doors closed. Judas goat doesn't get slaughtered. He just gets pushed to the side for the next shipment to come in. His life is spared. And that's what these doctors have been doing. There's it's called the College of Physicians and Surgeons Ontario. And they put out a letter to all of these doctors telling them not to talk too much about possible, adverse effects or anything that isn't pro-jab to their people, to their patients. And this is province-wide. And most of the doctors just participated in that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of doctors just didn't even look it up. They just went with medical consensus of what these, bodies were saying, and they're saying, oh, this person's a conspiracy theorist, so don't listen to them. It's 95% effective. Right?
A friend of mine works closely with OSHA. He works at a company, Home Occupational Safety and Health Administration for the United States government. And he was in charge of the health and safety for 800 employees at his company. And he showed me a fucking letter that came from OSHA, that's our government, to not report any adverse events that any of your employees might get from taking the vaccine. That came from our fucking government, and he showed me that. I was like, holy shit.
And what's crazy?
It's a cover up, but it's not even. There's no cover up for the cover up. It's not like, hey Jay, don't tell anyone this.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, here.
And you know what's crazy about that? Knowing that through OSHA, is even when you look at the VAERS, there were more adverse events. More deaths in, like, I think it was in the last 20 years. Over 6 months of the introduction.
Yes. Now it's in the history of all vaccines worldwide. There's been more in the last 6 months. And I know you know this, but the irony is before this vaccine was released, Harvard had released a study that only 1 in 10 adverse reactions were being reported because doctors weren't paid for their time to report those. So even though legally people had to report them, they had done a study saying that they were underreported by 90%. Now, those same people who said it was unreported, well, it's being overreported. It's not actually a good system. It's like, wait, what? And by the way, you if you misreport something to VAERS and they catch you, you're in big trouble.
Yeah,
you're in big fucking trouble. Craig White just posted something about a young lady who died, and his cause of death revealed after popular recording engineer Olivia Kwan died suddenly at age 25. Do you know this story?
No.
Wow, Caleb, you are fast. Olivia died from natural causes, a brain bleed on the afternoon of July 1st. She was home, and I wonder if this is a Canadian story. What's the percentage of Canadians? Oh, she's got the mask on. Does it say anything about her being vaccinated? Here's the reason why I don't think you should apologize when you do something that's right. So like what Joe Rogan did. When you apologize, what you're really doing is you're telling the world that everyone was correct in being offended. And so you worded it very intelligently. You said your apology perpetuates the illusion. And that's what it does. You're basically, when you apologize for something, like if you apologize for using the wrong pronoun for someone, what you're doing is you're supporting their delusion. You're participating. And I've been talking a lot on my show about, if I ask you, Jay, what does Bigfoot have, fur or hair? And you answer that question, I've sucked you into my illusion.
Mm-hmm.
When you should be like, what are you talking about? There is no Bigfoot. Who would win in a fight, Superman or Batman? Well, they're not real, Sevan. We can make whoever we want win. It's like, that's the thing. Which gender are you, Jay? And really smart people are answering that. I'm a male. Well, why? Like, you don't have to participate in the delusion. You cannot have a gender. And people poo-poo it, and you called it there's a philosophical war. I think it's a war of words. I don't think people realize we're in sorcery land. Like that Dungeons and Dragons shit, that's real. People are using words and just fucking you. Like that word science. 99% of the people don't know what that word means. 99.9. And but they use it like they do. They use it as a shield. You're not following the science.
Yeah, that's why on my website I put like a little section called values, and in the values, like the first thing I wrote was reality.
Oh,
and it seems weird to have to write that, but I was like, no, like the only thing any human has in common with another human is reality. Like if we don't agree on reality, then this conversation might not even be happening. Right. Not agreeing in reality is like the second you don't agree that reality exists, that it is, that this is real between you and I right now, the second, it's nihilism. It ultimately sets you on a trajectory that can only end at nihilism. And it seems like, oh, Jay's talking like black and white absolutes, but it's like, no, I'm sorry. The second you question whether reality is real or not, we can just say, is this conversation happening? Well, why don't you jump off a 12-story building and see if you can fly if you're doubting reality?
Right.
So reality to me is the number one.
Even if let's say we don't let's say nihilism, the rejection of all religious and moral principles and the belief that life is meaningless. Okay. Well, that last part is really fucked up. The point of life is meaningless. But even if we decide we can't agree on what reality is, or that there is a reality, for sake of existence, we could agree on some premises and just be aware that they're not necessarily real. So I'll give you an example. Red means stop and green means go. And even though these aren't real, we're going to agree on them so we don't crash into each other. We're going to agree that the word woman refers to stuff that biology and stuff that can be in the outside world, not stuff trapped in between your heads. I think that the biggest problem is that people conflate their thoughts with reality.
So, yeah, yes.
And they don't even know they're doing it. And I don't know how to pull people out of that space. I know a lot of really smart people and loved ones that can't even take a step back and do that.
One thing that it will make you seem annoying to a lot of people, but intelligent people will appreciate it, is when you define your terms.
Yes.
In a conversation.
Yes, they have to be.
Like even like that thing on nihilism, like part of me wanted to interrupt you.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's not just the key thing. It doesn't really have to do with like religion. It's like that definition. It's like, we don't really have to think of it with religion. It's just so many people have conflated that not believing in God means nihilism. That's a conflation, because you can have objective philosophy, you can have objective morality, and it's not just necessarily meaningless, it's obliteration. Like annihilate, think of the word to annihilate, to absolutely destroy something. So nihilism is like it's the opposite. It's the destruction of everything you know, which creates meaningless, right? Meaninglessness. So when we are having a conversation, and the example that is the most easiest that everyone can relate to would be the word equality. Equality or freedom. It's like so many people have conversations where they talk about equality and freedom, and they mean completely different things. Like when I hear a leftist, like a very liberal person, talking about how they value freedom, while at the same time saying you can't go into this store because you didn't get the jab.
Right.
It's like, whoa, what just happened here? Like my brain hurts right now. I can't understand it. Right. Or when people talk about equality, but an Asian person at an Ivy League school has to, or whatever, at law school has to score, 200 points more on the LSAT than a black person for equality.
That's equity.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, they don't define their terms. So
yes.
People say, do you do you value equality? And two people are like, absolutely. And then they'll say this thing like, oh, well, isn't it okay that this person who grew up, this colored person who grew up, has more help than a Chinese person who grew up with a tiger mom who forced him to study all day? It's like, because like that's a real thing. I think his name was Michael Lee or something. It was in the States, and I want to say Stanford, but this is like 10, 12 years ago.
Yes.
But I looked into it, and I remember reading. It's like, and don't quote me on the numbers, but it was like, let's say a white person had to get 1,000, an Asian person had to get 1,100, and a black person had to get 900, and that's all considered the same. And people don't realize how policies like this, because people don't have the intelligence to think about it critically, people don't realize that policies like this actually hurt the person you're trying to help.
Yes. I was going to say, and at the end of the day, if you look at who the richest people are in this country, it's the Chinese. They almost make double as much as the average white person. The average white person makes almost double as much as the average black person. And yet.
But what I mean is, let's say we put a policy like that through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say we put that policy through, and there's like 10 Asians, 10 whites, 10 blacks who just graduated law school. And there are only 15 law firms or 15 positions at the highest law firm. So you and me, Caleb, we own a law firm, and we're the big dogs.
Caleb too?
Yeah. Well, he
Okay.
can be like the vice president or something.
Okay, good. All right.
But he can be the Lewis Lit. But so we're there, and everyone wants to work for us. We're the best paying. We're the high road to success. If you and me, if the three of us are looking at all of these candidates, I'm telling you one thing. When I look at all of the black candidates who are in there, I'm going to look at them and be like, well, these guys only scored, they probably all scored lower on the LSAT. They probably aren't as good. I know that the Asian guys had to work twice as hard because they literally made things harder to them, and they gave all the privileges to the black guys, and all of these white guys are pretty good. So if there's 10 Asians, let's hire the 10 Asians and 5 of the whites, because they're probably better, because they had to work twice as hard and they didn't get any special privileges. And it backfires on them, because all 10 of those black guys could have been, or women, could have been better than everyone else. But because these policies are set in place, it is assumed that they are not as good, because the policies were put in place to help them, which assumes that they needed help, right? The same thing happens with female firefighters. I look at female firefighters and I automatically think, oh, you're not as strong as the weakest male on the team.
Right.
Because they changed the tests for you.
Right.
It's crazy to me.
Right. Wow. This isn't theory. This is actually happening.
Right.
This is the way things have played out in the last 20 or 30, 40, 50 years.
The same thing happens with minimum wages. People don't realize that minimum wages hurt the people who need those wages, right? Like, same thing. 3 of us own Burger King, and we want to hire people who flip burgers, and there's 3 positions or whatever. There's 3 positions, and then they hike the minimum wage, and now we can only afford 2 positions, right? So we can only afford 2 people. Before, we were hiring three people at $10 an hour, but now we can only hire 2 people at $14 or $15 an hour. So we have to get rid of one of them. Well, we're going to get rid of the least competent one out of the 3. Now, the chances are that the most competent one is probably, or the most competent ones are probably just at this job temporarily, because they're going to go off to school somewhere, or they have other jobs, right? They're smarter, or they're going to move up to a managerial position. So those people are likely going to move in that position, will not be there for the person who needs it the most. And that's how higher wages hurt the people you're trying to help. And the sooner people realize that pretty much all government intervention does the opposite, we're on the right path towards like a proper outlook on society. That's why I say it's philosophical, because then people need to start understanding what freedom and individuality and all of those things really mean. And I don't feel like people do at all.
No, they don't. They don't, because they have a fake benign, they have a fake, what I call fake kindness. They think that they're trying to be kind to people, and they don't think any of it out. It's the person who picks the snail up off the sidewalk to save its life and sets it in the bushes where the snail bait is and actually kills it. People have no idea what good is. It's just complete selfishness. It's like when you say sorry to someone, you don't really mean sorry to them. You become the plantation owner, and you're saying sorry to acknowledge. What did you say again? You're apologizing, which keeps them trapped in their illusion. Caleb, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So, I mean, at least in my wife's a firefighter, and at least in her department, they didn't change the test.
Triggered. He's triggered, Jay. He's triggered.
I'm just making a singular point. In her department, they didn't. She had the same test as everybody else. She went through the same exact fire academy. She was the only one to make it through, like, first time, no problem. But I understand where you're coming from. I think at least in the military, the same thing. They're starting to change the test just to make it more applicable to get people in and let them stay in, kind of thing.
Obese people or women, Caleb?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
And I bet your wife has all of the respect of everyone she works with because of that, right? And that's the important thing.
Yeah,
except for the dude she had to sleep with to get the job.
Yeah, sure. So that's all I had to say.
There is a link that says it's number 4 from the top. How does this work? It's from Jay's Instagram account. This thing was driving me fucking batshit crazy. Can you pull that up, Caleb? If you're not watching this on a big screen, this is going to be hard to see this next thing. But you should go to Jay's Instagram account and you should look at this thing. This is one of the most bizarre. This is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen on Instagram, and it's okay. So go ahead. Wait before you start, Caleb. Do you know how this works, Jay?
Yeah, it took me a long time. I watched this numerous times until I kind of could see it, but I don't know if I can explain it without physically touching the pictures.
Okay.
But basically, well, you might as well play it once so people can see.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, play it.
In this cartoon are 13 people. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people. I'm going to make one of these people disappear. All I do is move this piece to here and that piece to there. I line them up again and one person's gone. Don't believe me? Let's count them. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Disappeared. So where did they go? This puzzle is genuinely baffling. See if you can figure it out.
But I Heidi, just so you know, I know that was a hard joke to let. Oh my God, Sevi, don't disrespect Mrs. Beaver like that. I know it was hard, but her name is Mrs. Beaver. What are you gonna do? Okay. How does this work, Jay?
Okay, so I think I spent probably like 20 or 30 minutes just staring at it and trying to like analyze it.
I paused it 50 times last night. I would love to see the number of views you have on this. I must have watched this 1,000 times last night. It was driving me nuts.
It's actually quite awesome. And the point of the post, that the thing that I wrote, is something that I really want people to grasp as well. But so first, like, let's look at the first thing is discovering which one disappeared, and it's second row top, right? Second row from the left, the top, the third person up there. It's missing right now. Yeah, it'd be right around there. So the key is really noticing how everyone looks right now, and notice that everyone is a complete human being. Well, not human being, but you know what I mean. Complete portrait.
Eyes, nose, mouth, feet.
Look at how tall they all are.
Okay.
So if you go back to the other one, I don't know how
you have to actually play it all the way through. That's what's fucking batshit crazy.
So look at the guy on the left, the far left. So the top of his head is gone.
Yes, yes.
And then look at the guy on the far right, bottom. His face is mushed.
Oh, and even the second guy on the bottom from the left,
and
his face is mushed.
Yep. And then everyone is shorter, right? So it's hard for me to do without a pen and paper, so that I could show you as I talk. But what's happening is basically when there's 13 of them, they're divided up to make incomplete humans.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
You mean when there's you mean when
now?
Okay.
Right now,
yes,
there are incomplete pieces.
Yes.
That are complete enough for our brains to identify them as complete.
Okay.
If you think of our computers as pattern recognition tools,
yes,
we recognize those as all complete. But if you look at them, especially if you look at them closer, you can pull this up on the internet and look at proper ones and blow them up. They're all incomplete. Especially
what is this? Is this card called something like the blah 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 effect?
I think I just on DuckDuckGo put in something like 12 to 13 person psychology or something like that, and then some person explained it better. So
this is witchcraft. Burn your phones now.
but that's the key, is seeing that some of the pieces just come together, and then it just makes one complete. And the other piece that really throws it off is because that top two pieces is not divided in half, which makes it equally, which makes it difficult for our brain to process.
Right.
That's the other thing. So if you put the two pictures, so I snapshotted two pictures, like just using my phone,
Yeah.
and then I put them using like Instagram stories. I put them side by side so I could directly look at them and zoom in and stuff and manipulate it. And then my brain was able to figure it out. That was really fun though. I was mesmerized by it. I was actually kind of pissed off. It was one of those things where I'm like, I can't until my brain recognizes what's going on.
Caleb, can you pull that post back up? Just said that he liked what he wrote there. What was your point there? Tell me, what is your point here?
So technically they're showing us this backwards. Like normally, like when you actually do this, it's 12 to 13, but this guy's showing us 13 to 12. And what's really interesting is by showing us 13 like that, he's not showing us reality. Because remember I said they're all incomplete figures?
Right.
But it appears like reality to us.
Right.
So much of what we see in society, or our lives, throughout our entire lives, is an illusion that we accept as reality.
And one we create for ourselves, right? To try to make the world seem like it fits, like this. That picture's not lying to us. We're lying to ourselves.
I would say that we are lied to at a young age, that to be told that picture is reality, and we accept it, and it creates a controlling paradigm for the rest of our lives.
Well, how about just naming you then? As soon as I name you Jay, I've thrown you into the illusion, and now you're gonna your whole life be kind of participating to hold Jay together, even though he's changing every fucking continuously.
Yeah, they're like.
Is that where the illusion starts? You're born and they name you, and then that's it. You're
like,
now.
I don't want to get in like too political, too heavy, because like I don't want to create division in certain areas. But the example that I always like,
it's the Muslims' fault. No, it's the Jews.
But the example that I think of the most is religion.
Yeah.
Telling a kid that God exists and Jesus walked on water, he fed 60,000 people with a few dozen fish and a couple loaves of bread, kind of thing. Like if we're talking about reality and reason, what you're doing at an early age is teaching a child that they are malleable, that reality and reason don't necessarily have to be absolute, right? So if we create that chink in the armor, then all of a sudden, like, where else might that happen in the rest of life? You have just trained the mind to accept unrealistic things.
Like Santa Claus?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something like I'm still not sure how to treat that with my son. I've decided that if he ever asks me a question, like how does a big fat guy fit down a chimney? Or how does he visit so many houses?
Right.
And I'd be like, you know what? That's a really good question, because how many houses, and I'm going to play with it.
Right.
How many houses do you think? How many children in the world?
Yeah.
You know, and I'll
do
let
the math with
it.
them and be like, hey, he can only deliver presents to 18 houses.
Yeah. Right. So that's how I plan to do it. Is I don't talk about Santa Claus. I don't do it. Like I don't put it on his gifts or anything, but like he learns it at daycare and from other people and even from other family members. And I don't want to be like that, like Grinch kind of person, but I've just decided I will never lie to my son, and I will always guide him to reasonably think about things and come upon his own conclusions. And I think that's what a parent should do. So that is an example though of a false paradigm that is put on us, which we accept, which will change how we see the truth, because that picture is not the truth. There are not 13 people there. There are 13 incomplete people there, right? The truth is that it's 12 people. It's a picture of 12 people broken up to make it look like it's 13.
Yeah.
So if our goal is to seek truth, the first thing that we have to do is acknowledge the false or the lie that we're currently looking at.
You said earlier that there's something that you mentioned, objective morality. Can you give me an example of that?
So like everyone talks about, like, the thing is, people think that without religion, you can't have morality.
I've heard that.
And that's, I talk about these paradigms. It's a false alternative. It's a very false alternative to say you can believe in God and have morality, or you cannot believe in God, and then ultimately it's just everyone does what they want, and then it ends up with nihilism.
Yeah.
And if we want to think about it philosophically, we want to think about reality and reason. Reason being logical, seeking answers logically, like a math equation, looking at all of your steps, making sure there's no contradictions, adding information as it comes in and integrating it with the equation. So meaning wrinkling out any contradictions, canceling out things that now become wrong. That is reasoning. And a lot of people don't understand this simple concept. That's why I had to say it like that. You have to think of it like a math equation. If you get new information, your conclusion might change.
Right.
So and it's all based off of reality. So people think that, oh, well, we can only have morality if we believe in God. So thou shalt not kill people. So I say, why shouldn't you kill people? I say, oh, because God said so. Who's God? Because even people in religion, like religious people, different religions are going to differ in their opinion of God. Even people within the same religion are going to differ in their opinions of what God is.
Right.
Like, he's a guy with a beard. Oh, he's a woman. Oh, he's the creator without matter. And then it's like, oh, well, what came before God? Or like, or what's his name? Eric, the God-eating penguin, which is a funny one for people to look up. But the point is that they can't even agree on what God is. So how can they all agree that whatever God says must be the most moral conclusion? Right. If there's and who wrote the book and how many books in the Bible are missing, blah, 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 blah. There's so many philosophical debates and so many like logical lines to tread in order to get to accept this one conclusion. Philosophically, do not kill people, do not steal, all those things is a floating abstract because there's no foundation to really support it.
Just this imaginary character called God.
Based on reality, right? I could say, okay, well, a werewolf says don't kill people too. So do you agree with werewolves?
Right.
And this is where
with the established belief that God is the creator, though.
Sure, but who created the creator? Anyways, I don't want to get into. I don't want to get into that. But the point is that if you want to attack that morality, all you have to do is wipe the feet out of God. And since there's no evidence in reality to say God must absolutely exist, then we put that morality is all in question. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with.
What's an example of objective morality then?
So an objective morality could be simple. So don't kill people can be a universal truth. Don't kill people, don't rape people, don't.
So it's not necessarily that it's true. We just agree upon it.
No, just let me finish. So they are universal because you cannot kill people. You cannot kill a person if they want to be killed. You cannot steal from a person if they want you to take it. You cannot rape a person who wants to have sex. No one's gonna be hey, rape me, come rape me, I want it. That's not rape anymore. You can say, hey, come take this from me. Here, steal this. It's not stealing. It's me giving it away, right? So you can't talk about any of those things in that way. It only happens if a person does not want it to happen, right? So we can look at it from that regard, and there's things like universally preferable behavior, which is, that sort of thing that can kind of guide people to think of things more objectively. And the reason that a lot of people have a hard time getting into objective morality is because they can't differentiate between preferences and objective truths. So an objective truth is 2 + 2 = 4. A preference is strawberry ice cream is the best. You and I can't argue about whether or not strawberry ice cream is the best. Sorry, we can argue, but there's no definitive, there's no absolute answer to that. It's not black and white, it's preferential.
Right.
Your values, my values, our tastes, all those different things come into play. But as far as objectively, 2 + 2 = 4, well, there's one answer. So that is the difference. And you can base morality off of this. Now, the line, and this is, sorry, I don't know how much time we have, but this is the line.
We have 10 more minutes, but I'm still a little lost on how it's objective. The morality. Can you look? Say it again.
You can't argue against it.
But how is me not killing?
Like it's universal that no person wants to get killed.
Okay.
It's universal that no person wants to have their stuff stolen. It's universal.
Right. No one wants to be raped. Right.
Like that's
right.
Like you just can't argue against it. It's axiomatic in the concept of the term, right?
You're right.
Axiomatic.
And then you take it and you flip the script. So you take something that's truth for you and you flip the script. And then by flip the script, I mean, you don't want to be killed. So therefore you shall not kill. And now we have objective morality.
If it's something that universally makes sense, it has to be universal. It has to make sense for everyone across the board.
Right. And there's gonna be some jackass says, "Oh, I have a fantasy of being raped." Shut the fuck up! Don't ruin our conversation.
But my point is literally that by definition, it's not rape if they want to be raped.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You can't. An axiom is something that is an irreducible primary. It's something that cannot be reduced any further. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like someone saying existence exists. Or consciousness. You are conscious. You can't be like, no, I'm not conscious. It's like, well, you had to consciously say that. You had to, like, in order to understand what consciousness means, you have to be conscious. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or existence exists. To even just think it, well, you must exist for existence to exist. So we can't argue these types of things because they are axiomatic. You can't, in order to even discuss it, you have to accept it.
What about this? So I like everything you say. I'm following you. I have no pushback there. In the last 10 years of my life. So the first 40 years of my life, I'm like, man, these God people have it so wrong. They have it so wrong. And I would kind of like push back against it. Go ahead.
I don't think so. I'll tell you one thing, America, Canada, but particularly America, like we're all hoping America is the bastion of freedom in the world. And it is pretty bad. It's not even that free, and like it's very far from, but it's the most we got right now. And what is going to save America is Christianity.
Okay. Religion. Yeah. So that's where I'm going. Now I'm like, holy fuck, we need these motherfuckers. I'm against guns and I'm against Christians. And I'm like, oh fuck. In the last 10 years, something has happened to me where like, we need these people. We really fucking need these people. And we have to stop. Like, even if we don't agree with them, we need them. They're like bees. I fucking don't like a bee, but when they're in the section of my yard, I'm like, all right, I won't go in that section. I need you.
Yeah. So I want to say like a couple things about Christianity. One is, out of all the big religions, Christianity is the best one, in my opinion, as far as like for America goes, because it is the most inclusive. It's the most welcoming, right? It doesn't call people infidels or anything like that. It's the most welcoming. A stranger to the church can walk into the church and they will be welcomed with open arms in 99.9% of the churches across North America. The other thing is that, like, I talk about truth and I talk about objective morality, but you can have a rational conclusion, a reasonable conclusion, like a correct conclusion, but the math equation was done incorrectly. You can have a rational thought or a rational conclusion come about irrationally. So if there's a huge math, like how many times were we in school? I always like to talk about math equations where you showed the teacher the correct answer and you know it's the correct answer, but you can't show your work.
Yep.
So you didn't do it the way that the teacher wanted it done, but you figured it out and you got the answer right.
Right. A way to think of it might be like, I'm going to go to my neighbor's house that's only 1,000 feet this way, but I take the 12,000 mile route and go the wrong way around the earth. Eventually I get to his house, even though it takes me 12 years. And I could have just walked out my door over to his house.
Yeah. And if ultimately it's like, don't kill people, don't steal from people, and don't rape people.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Because the way we have to think about this is I talk about the need for philosophy, but the majority of people don't have the cognitive capacity or the intellect, both energy wise, and some people both like just the capacity to actually participate in it. Like some people, like the average IQs are going down, right? So not everyone is intelligent enough to really participate in these kind of open discussions So it is easier to just say,
right.
God says don't kill people. Cool. We're still living in the same society.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
traditional values are like what the country was founded on. And the more people cling to those, the less they can be shaken by all this like demoralization that's happening all over the world, all over Western societies. So because I don't think the majority of people have the energy, the desire, the willingness, because there's also like there's also that willingness, that ambition to just want to, take the adventure of thinking more. Most
Man,
people don't
you
wanna do
explained that so good. I've been the last 2 months, I've been trying to think of exactly how I want to word that. You explained that so good about getting to the same conclusion in different routes. Like if at the end we have food production, like that's good.
Yeah, and people will argue about this, and then it causes division. And it's like, guys, there's a much bigger problem at hand right now.
Yes. Yes.
If we want to sit here and argue about whether or not I believe in a creator, well, we're going to have a lot of conversations because, like, I think there's a lot of holes in evolution as well. So It's a very exciting conversation. I'm a person who's happy to say I don't know and let's explore everything. But I have to have all of my current positions and current opinions, conclusions based off of evidence, based off of reality and reasoning. And we should be we need to be spending our time on defending our freedoms right now, ultimately. So
this guy wrote to me, and I want to read this comment along the line. He said, one thing that really hit home with me, a comment you've probably not given a second thought on. You said, I'm not a God man, I'm not a gun man, but the older I got, the more I realized how important those people are. When you're saying those words, it struck really hard. It hit a chord with me. I've been an atheist from day one, struggled with my own grasp on it all through my 20s, and now in my 30s are coming to an end. I have 2 young kids. I found myself drawn to protecting those God people. That's in quotes. For the longest time, I almost resented them. Pity, secret jealousy. I think my inability to believe in a God probably left me envious. The structure and the discipline it gives those people is completely fucking lacking in people these days. I'm obsessed with the likes of Goggins, Haynes, Froning, Rogan, Ant Middleton, Jocko, men with strong backs and strong mindsets. Discipline has become a staple in my life, and I have everything to gain from taking a leaf out of men and women who I respect. Your comment was so good to hear. I'd been thinking on those lines recently and didn't know how to articulate it out loud. I didn't know how to articulate it either. Thank you for Jay Neasy 2100 for sharing it like that. That's something I'm going to keep bringing up with my guests and hear other people's takes on it. I mean, it's we have bigger fish to fry. Those of us who can get on the same page need to get on the same page, and that page is freedom.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned the problem with the labels and the boxes. Because normally if someone comes, like, so many people would agree with me on 100% of the things I say, like when I give speeches or rallies or whatever, and they talk about God this and God that. And I know that if I say, if I don't believe in God saving us or anything like that, I don't think like that, then I know that I'm going to lose that person as a person who supports what I want to do in the movement.
Right. You don't want to alienate them.
Or be alienated by them. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it's like, it's weird because like, no, we're still on the same page. This is a box that you want to put me in.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean I think everything you think. I think everything you think I think. You know what I mean? Like I just said, like, I'm going to acknowledge that there are so many holes in evolution, in the theory of evolution. There's so many friggin' holes in it that it's hard to support that. But it doesn't mean I support, a God entity that exists, doesn't have matter, like a massless entity kind of thing. Right. So, but I'm happy to have conversations about it, and I can entertain ideas without accepting them. So, and I'm perfectly comfortable saying, I don't know. And that's how we have conversations. And the second we label people one way or another in our mind, which is something we instinctively do for survival, like tribalism is a thing that was necessary for our survival. The second we do those things, we actually lose out on important conversations.
Greg Glassman once said to me, the only debate you should bring a gun to is the freedom of speech debate. And if you lose it, shoot the guy. And I was like, wow, like I get it.
Yeah.
And I tie that to the fact that, yeah, like we should be able to talk. There should be room for all of us to have our thoughts, to discuss these things. And in talking with people like you, it's fully obvious that you're capable to say you don't know, because those are the only people who can go everywhere in their brain, the people who can say they don't know. Jay, thank you.
Yeah, great to be on, man.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. That was that 90 minutes just blew by. You're a great contributor to thought, and I think it'd be great to have you back on after the CrossFit Games are over. There was something you brought up that I really think we need to drive home, and it is, why is it so important that the United States? Well, how did the United States get at the forefront of this, and why is it so important that it succeeds? So we'll pick up there when maybe if I can have you back on in a month or two.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Let me read something quickly. I actually wanted to read it at the beginning.
Yep. Please,
try to get people in the mood.
Please.
This is just off my website. No one is coming to save you. Fuck apathy. Fuck willful ignorance. Fuck cowardice. Fuck conformity. Fuck blind obedience to authority. You are an individual. Act like it. Act like an individual. Trust your own mind. Deviate from the herd. Strengthen your intellect. Seek the truth. Stand for truth. In the presence of lies, if silence is compliance, be loud, be defiant, be brave, be the outlier, be your own hero, evolve.
You are an individual, act like it. Dang. Layla Steele, just a quick thank you, Sevan, for having Jay on to share his views and concerns up here in Chinada. This is the only way we can help and inform more people. We have to keep bringing awareness. I know. Thank you. I know sometimes I feel bad because I know some of you guys just want to vomit it every time I bring this shit up, but it is really the only reason why I do the show, is to pursue the truth. And thank you, Layla, for your support. And I'll be using that $10 to buy a tank, 1 gallon of gas, not a tank of gas, 1/15 of a gallon of the tank of gas. Jay, thanks for coming on, brother. And
having me, guys.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Dude.
Bye-bye. Woo! How about in the beginning when he had to slap me around a little bit for interrupting him? Bruce Wayne, love you too, brother. I will see you guys soon. I'm gonna take my kids to tennis. I'm gonna plop in front of the TV. I'm gonna watch Patty Pimblett versus Jordan Levitt. Let's all root for Jordan, whether he wins or loses. Let's send Jordan a lot of love over on his Instagram. Mr. Beaver, thank you for joining us. Thanks for straightening us out about how, that women in the fire service have to perform at the same level as men, at least where your wife went. And we will talk to you guys very, 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 very. Oh, maybe we'll do Hillerfit tomorrow morning. Hillerfit review. I'll call Andrew now. Okay, guys.